Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel, and today I'm back with another movie review. This time it is on The Suicide Squad, which of course came out earlier this year in 2021. It was directed by James Gunn, and I watched this movie a couple days ago actually on HBO Max, and I thought it was fine, to be honest. Honestly, I thought it would be much better, just solely going off of what other people have said about the film. I thought it would be like this groundbreaking, oh my god, every comic book movie should be like this from now on. But, I mean, honestly, after watching it, I hope not every comic book movie will be like this. Because, I don't know, I mean, I'm going to get into specifics, but if you want my quick summed up thoughts in one word, it would be fine. I thought this movie was okay. It definitely wasn't bad, but just going off of, again, what other people have said about the film, and how it has like a 90-something on Rotten Tomatoes, maybe like 80-something, the high 80s. It has like a 3.8 on Letterboxd out of 5, and that's really good, obviously. And I don't know, I see reviews about this movie, and a lot of people say they made the best DC movie by just having fun. And I love Guardians of the Galaxy, the first one. The second one was okay. I don't know, I feel like I have trouble remembering what happened. I don't have an urge to rewatch it either, so it's just kind of like an outcast in my opinion. But the first Guardians of the Galaxy, which of course was written and directed by James Gunn, I think that's one of my favorite MCU movies of all time. I feel like I could watch that really any time. If it's on TV, I'll turn it to that movie because it's just such a fun ride. And but with this movie, it was funny at times, it was entertaining, but oh man, I really, it's kind of tough to really get it out what I'm trying to say here, but overall I feel like this movie, oh man, I think the best way to put it, I think they tried too hard to be different, and I think they tried too hard to be very violent and funny with dark humor and all that, because things like Guardians of the Galaxy, I feel like that happened naturally. It was naturally funny, and even though there wasn't a ton of violence in the movie, I think it just felt natural, and once again, in the moment. You didn't watch it and be like, oh, they're trying too hard to make it funny. It just, you accepted it for what it was, that it was a funny, really comical take on these superheroes, and it worked that way, and that's one of the reasons why I like that movie so much. But with this film, I feel like every other scene is their attempt to make a joke out of it. And when you see that, and when that joke falls flat, it's almost like it doesn't feel good. But with Guardians of the Galaxy, when a joke wouldn't necessarily make you laugh out loud, it was fine, because you could tell that it was just a naturally funny movie. I hope this is making sense, but with this film, you could tell that they're behind the camera trying so hard to make it funny. They're like, okay, this is going to be the funniest, most extreme DC movie, and that's like our goal. That's our demographic for people that want to go see this movie, a violent film filled with dark humor. And so when a joke falls flat, it just, I don't know, it's more cringeworthy in a way. And yeah, I'm really hoping that this is making sense, because this is by far my biggest issue with this movie. Yeah, it's just, I think they tried too hard to be different once again. So anyways, moving on from that, this movie is very violent, and it gets fun at times with that violence. I really like how you really don't know what characters are going to live and what characters are going to die. Because in the first act of the movie, I won't get into spoilers, but something happens to a few of the characters, and you thought, wow, they have some balls to do that to those characters. And I did admire that about this film. That was one good thing about it, one of my favorite things about it. And so yeah, that really sets the stakes high for the rest of the movie, because the first Suicide Squad movie, which is far worse than this one is much better than that one, but that one, I mean, I feel like really any movie could be better than the first Suicide Squad. I actually did a review on that a few years back. I think like 2019 I did a review of that. But anyways, with that movie, only like one person died, I think, maybe two. But with this movie, it's very different, and I like that about it. But anyways, moving on to the characters themselves, which are put in this peril situation. Perilous? I think that's a word. Anyways, the characters in this movie, I think they're fun, and that's what they were meant to be. They don't have a ton of time to build them up, which is fine. I mean, like, a lot of them are expendable anyways, but I think the way that they tried to set up their backstories is the best that they could have done in this quick movie, because they didn't want to go through the whole thing that the first Suicide Squad movie went through with introducing them and then they're all in prison and then they recruit them. This movie gets right into it. By just hearing that, you would think that that's a good part about the movie, how it just gets right into it and doesn't waste any time, but I will get into that later. That's another negative about the movie that I will once again get into later. But the characters in this movie, they're very colorful in more ways than one. Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn is great. She was in the first movie. She was one of the best parts of that film. Same with Birds of Prey. She was one of the best parts of that movie as well. So it makes sense that she would be good in this one. Idris Elba is good as Bloodsport. John Cena, I think this role fits him well. Even though I don't love John Cena as an actor, I talked about this in my F9 review. I don't know, he doesn't really work for me, but he does work in this movie, which was a little bit surprising as Peacemaker. He works as that. Polka Dot Man, I thought he was funny. And yeah, I like seeing all of these different characters clash, and then some of them are just there to be killed, which is good, because that sets up the point that I made earlier about how you never know if a certain character will die or not. So yeah, the characters are good. Again, you couldn't really spend too much time with the backstory, and I understand that. But anyways, moving on to the pacing, which I started to mention a minute ago, how the beginning of the movie just gets straight into it and doesn't waste any time. Like after the opening credits, they say, okay, this is your mission, you're going to do this. And again, that sounds good when I say it, because they realize that everyone who has seen this movie has seen the first one, most likely. They don't need the whole explanation between like what they're there to do, the villains, and the rules, like they have a thing put into their neck. They mention that quickly, but they don't need to spend like half an hour doing that like the first movie did. So it gets right into it. But to be honest, I mean, it starts off with an action sequence, which is that's fine. I understand why movies want to start off with action sequences most of the time, because if you start off a superhero movie with characters just talking and a big exposition dump, that would be a boring way to start a movie. So you would notice, and with the Star Wars movies as well, like the original 3 Star Wars movies, they all start with action sequences, and you don't really know, especially with A New Hope, you don't know what is really going on. And then after, that's when they take the time to kind of explain things and set more things up, and then you realize why that opening action sequence happened. So with this movie, that's what they do. They do jump around in time, which I don't know. Just the overall style of this movie, how they use the zooms as well, like the zoom ins with the camera and zoom outs and all that. I didn't really like those either. And like I just said, they jump around in time. They go like, they start off with the action sequence and then they go like 8 days earlier or 3 days earlier, I kind of forget, because it happens so much throughout the movie. And then they go like 15 minutes later and then it goes to something else. And it's fine at some points, but in other points it's like, okay, just let us watch the movie and stop interrupting it with 8 days earlier and then showing us like some backstory and then going back to the action sequence. I don't know, just the whole style of this movie I didn't love. Yeah, but with the pacing, as I started to mention, I keep on getting sidetracked, but the beginning of the movie gets into that action sequence. It's good, but then everything after that, it just feels so weird for some reason. It almost feels rushed in a way. It's like they're trying so hard to be this different Suicide Squad movie than what the first one was, that they're trying to do all these stylistic choices that are honestly like, they're too much in my opinion. But I don't know, just how there are certain scenes that are so dedicated to one joke. And to be honest, I didn't laugh so much throughout this movie. I thought I would laugh 10 times more than I did, and that's not an exaggeration. And I watched this with 3 of my friends, so that should make the movie funnier to watch and should make you laugh more about dumb things that happen. But yeah, I didn't laugh so much. There were a few good jokes, but most of them, in my opinion, weren't so funny. So when they dedicate a whole scene or like a whole sequence to one joke, and then the joke doesn't make me laugh, it just kind of makes me more angry than anything. And so anyways, let's move on to the villain in this movie. When I saw the trailers in this film, I thought it looked really stupid. The giant starfish thing, I forget what it's called, Starro, I think. Starro the Destroyer. But in this movie, I think they handled it pretty well, to be honest. I think they realized they were able to make it self-aware enough that the characters are like, what the fuck, a giant starfish? Like, that's the dumbest thing ever. So when they do that, it kind of makes it less stupid, because the characters are at least acknowledging that it is kind of stupid. So that made it better. Anyways, I think that's about it. This was, as I said earlier, an oddly hard review to get through. And I don't know. I mean, something about this film, it didn't work with me. I don't know, I'm sorry. So yeah, I think that's about it. I will give a out of 10 grade for this film. I thought it was fine, and that's my motto with this film, and for that reason, I'm going to give The Suicide Squad a 5.5 out of 10. This movie is not terrible by any means. It's not even bad, but it's not good at the same time. It's just in the middle of the road, and that's why I gave it a 5.5. But anyways, thank you all so much for watching this video. I'm glad I got this off my chest because I've been wanting to make a review on this ever since I saw it a few days ago. And yeah, I'm glad I did it. So anyways, thank you all so much for watching this video. Leave your comments down below about this movie and what you think about it if you have seen it. But anyways, thank you all so much for watching this video. I hope you all enjoyed it, and hopefully I'll see you all next time. Goodbye.